All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, December 8th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, this time of the day, welcome on back. I hope I didn't wake anyone up in the process here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Norman, Brian, Mark. We have Udea joining us here live, Jeff and Michael as well. Great to see you all. Bill says you did. Well, hopefully not too much. Hopefully I didn't startle anyone too badly there. But of course, if you're joining us back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back as well. So, hey, we don't have class this afternoon. I do have a coaching session to attend to at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we do have to talk a little bit about Bitcoin today. Small little retracement back up, trying to at least. But otherwise, it's been a really volatile day, really active day across the stock market. It seems like the S&P and the SPY in particular trying to push back up right now and break a new high. So that could be pretty nice for us here heading into the final 90 minutes here. But otherwise, we'll go right from top to bottom as tradition. We'll see what else is out there going into the market close. The PPSI stock right now on the screen to begin. I know a couple of us jumped into this stock as it was initially beginning to break out. It got halted, I think, even, and then when it reopened up, it ended up shaking around a bit. I was able to join a little late to the party, almost scalped it to a degree, but got in right off 11 out under 1170, and from there ended up just completely dumping back down. I guess it pushed up first, but then completely crashed. Now it's like pretty flat. So this PPSI stock, we'll find it on the gainer side up 24%. We're not going to put this on our main watch list right now, I don't think at all, really, unless if this makes like some crazy Hail Mary pop at the end. But otherwise, I mean, hey, a familiar name at the top of the gainers list otherwise, not the PPSI per se, but I don't know what that was about. But ISIG up over 100% today. You would like to think with this stock just, breaking out day over day, and for how much this stock was trading back last week, it was a $5.64 stock. You'd like to figure it's going to be breaking all-time highs just looking at this parabolic move. I don't even know if this is parabolic. What's like the next level above parabolic? Whatever it is, it's this. So nonetheless, you would just figure it would be breaking all-time highs, right? Nope. Not all-time highs. So we were talking about this earlier inside the Cyber Group room, just the fact that this stock does have some historical resistance, namely off of 30, 35. This was back from 2010, 2011, right around 35, little above. And then right here, back from the end of 2014, just spiked all the way up to a high of 26.25. So all of those price levels could be a pretty strong historical top. Then alongside that, you would just assume naturally, these decade number and then quarter century number levels like 20 and 25. Those would be some pretty big volume based levels as well. So for right now, this stock ended up, well, let me zoom out a little bit more. Ended up beginning to build up pretty nicely, held essentially under 25, and from that point came back down pretty quick. Generally, it kind of broke under 20, held under that price throughout a good portion of the afternoon, and just now, actually, prior to 2 p.m., did it just break back above that price. I feel like it's more likely to pull back down again, just given its overall volatility. I'll put this on our watch list. That said, though, that doesn't mean that every one of us is experienced enough to trade this on a lot of shares, and I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way or negative connotation. I just don't want you to blow up your account on a stock like this because it has such a fluctuating spread and thin order book. We're going to go over a couple of other stocks that look just as good, that are really liquid, that provide, perhaps as good of an opportunity to make some money in the market, but are a lot more liquid. It's easier to identify where the big iceberg orders are. Right now, the stock's testing 21, and there's like barely any shares on the offer right now. So, what does that tell you? It tells you that there's not really much going on out there on the order book. It's a very volatile stock, but you got to be very picky and choosy with this trade. So for the meantime, I'll put this on our watch list, in hopes of this beginning to build up right from here and for another run back up. But don't be surprised if it comes back down towards that 20 level later on. All right, so one of the other stocks that I was referencing that are a lot more liquid, consistently tight spread, filled in volume out there across practically every price level on level 3, EFOI. Now, this wasn't necessarily an easy trade at first. This stock was just a chop fest out the gate. ended up popping out the gate from that point, ended up chopping around. When I say that, I mean, hey, if you follow what we teach in class in phases 1, 2, and 3, if you follow what we teach in Traders Talk, our weekly workshop here in the Cyber Group room, it's just the same rhetoric, the same lines. My best entries to buy a stock are directly after they break. You know the sayings, right? For all of us there, I'm not going to make you go through that again. It's just to say this, though. On this EFOI stock, it became a chop fest. At first, it broke above 4, false break at first, but then it made the real pop after. Hey, you'd like to think the first time it comes back down to that level, it should be support. Resistance becoming support, first attempt here. So if you're following that rhetoric, this is actually a pretty decent trade initially. Unfortunately, though, from that point, though, it could tease you. It ended up beginning to snap and break lower, so you would assume that this run is done, but it really wasn't. It just gave us another opportunity. Broke back above 4, not once, but twice, even probably like a third or fifth time there. But with lower highs, you should know what's coming. Lower lows. So this thing ended up trending down pretty beautifully on my 5-minute chart. You could see, maybe you can try and connect it right off the exact highs. I like to try and connect trend lines off of like consistencies. So you could see at least, this line represents just where this stock is touching these highs quite often, right? Even from the top here, little false break here, false break, and it tanked. Here you'd expect it to hold. Here's a false break. I jumped into this trade prior to us starting the afternoon meeting, right off of 320. 319 actually was my entry price, and unfortunately, I chickened out, and I ended up getting out prior to us beginning the meeting, and it didn't even stop me out. I just hit the close button. I figured, oh no, it's not going to make this move that I wanted to make. I'll tell you, I mean, hey, pushed up a little bit. I missed out on like 10, 12 cents. I was getting a little antsy here when I was beginning to go over this move. But now, as I'm talking, as this is trading, it's pulling back down. So I do not think this is going to continue to hold. I think this will fall back down under the trend line. I think it will continue to tank. Kind of reminds you of the SYTA stock from yesterday, no? Just 24 hours ago. So, with that in mind, I'm happy I got out where I did. I didn't lose a dime. Just, better to get out where I did there than hold on, because it only looks like this is just going to keep dropping. All right, PPSI, I guess, jump back to it. I said I was going to get back to this at the end, but, for right now, trying to hold over 10. Give it one last look there. RLX. Now, this stock, just full transparency, I am long on right now. I've been long on this trade since I typed in the trading room here just about 10 minutes ago, probably. It said at 2:17 Eastern time, looking for RLX to slingshot to 5. Hey, more often than not, when I'm making call-outs, I'm in these trades, especially if it's something as liquid as this. So, with that, I still have my stop set. I'm not out of the doghouse yet. We're not out of the woods on this trade yet. It really needs to begin to pop over this 490. I thought it would have done it sooner than now. So if it's not going to make that move, then perhaps it's going to drop on me. So I'm in this trade. I'm very comfortable in this position right now. I have my stop set right under 485. So, if it ends up dropping as we go through this meeting, so be it. But nonetheless, it is shortable. So if it's not going to break higher and if it craps out and breaks below support, that could be an interesting play. But for right now, obviously, I certainly hope that doesn't happen. All right. Let me jump back from the monthly chart here. You can see RLX is a fairly new IPO that's being smushed over time. Hey, perhaps a potential short squeeze. So, if the stars align, this could blow over 5 and really get going. So we'll check back in with this at the end. For right now, this at least we'll keep on our list. We'll put this on our watch list here for the afternoon. Full House Resorts. I don't know if it has any connection with the show. Nonetheless, FLL, it's only trading about 2,600 shares per minute, so it's like crap volume right now. It's not really a whole lot that I would want to see. Roku's up 19%. I'm assuming that's off earnings. I don't know if there's any sort of like crazy partnership or deal they landed. Honestly, I was quite ignorant to the news this morning. So nonetheless, if you're in Roku's a swing or doing calls on them, you're up big. Congrats. But obviously, as a day trade for Roku, a $257 stock, a little expensive. All right, so we'll keep it going. We'll keep it marching, though, otherwise right now, folks. Hey, from Angel on YouTube, welcome aboard. So on the PSFE trade, at least, hey, this pushed up pretty nicely for us this morning. Nice run, and also a stock that's very liquid. So this could be a decent move for us heading into the afternoon. For as much as this pushed up, you'd like to think, when's it going to begin to reverse or pull back or drop off? Well, perhaps I was just right there going into 2 o'clock where it topped off at 440. Certainly it's a lot closer to the highs than it is towards where it had opened up. So with that, plus it's actually trying to inch up here in front of us. I don't mind putting this on our list here. Give it a shot. The PSFE again, see if this can keep beginning to push up higher. It's also shortable, so much like RLX, same rules apply. All right, we'll check out the crazies. We'll check out the crazies like BKKT. We'll check out the DWAC trade, which is all sorts of out of whack. This BKKT, I mean, lower highs. I mean, I saw Andrea mention going into the early afternoon, he was looking for a short. It's not easy to borrow on my platform. I know he's on Quest Trade, so for him, he's looking pretty good on the short trade for BKKT, but nonetheless, right now, not a whole lot happening otherwise, like kind of thin volume out there in the book. The DWAC stock, we're all pretty familiar with this trade at this point, ended up making a really nice pop going into the mid-morning. Took a while to get the gears going, as I say, on this trade, but ended up making a beautiful pop from 50 up towards just about 63, 64. Check it on Fun, PHUN, because Fun trades with DWAC. I'd say the same on DWAC as I even said on Roku. It's too expensive. If you want to personally trade DWAC, that is your decision. But for us here, if Fun's going to make the same move in terms of just overall direction, and if this has a lot more filled in of an order book and is just about 20 times cheaper, I would definitely rather trade this Fun stock. So PHUN I'll put on our list. The DWAC, of course, will go with it, or if anything, this will go with DWAC. And we keep it going. CRDF. Ooh, is that the highs? It's only trading about 1,300 shares a minute, though. That's like really bad. TAL, we're pretty familiar with the stock here, too. I like the fact that it's at the highs. It's holding really well, which is impressive. So that leads you to think that there's a pretty decent chance for this to make one more run up. The volume's really dropped off since even 1 o'clock in the afternoon, showing some signs of life, a lot of buying with it, there. But really waned down from that point. So, that's the only concern. But again, it has a good order book. So I like that. That's the selling point to me on this trade. So we'll put the TAL stock on our watch list. We'll check in with Got You. Check out EDU. These are all the Chinese education-based companies that ended up getting crushed back like 3, 4, 5 months ago. I know the China government were looking to make these companies go nonprofit. That was the headline, at least, that came out. So, all those stocks ended up getting crushed like 68, 67% that morning. And it's a nice dead cat bounce opportunity, if the stars could align. All right, so let's see what else we got. Newsy had a big spread earlier. Just going to skip over that for right now. If you folks feel like that's a good trade, then let me know. Out of all those education stocks, the TAL is the one I'll go with. The others might go with it, but this one seems to be like the most lively, strongest near the highs. All right, we'll hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better, and we'll just kind of open this up a bit here. Go. All right, so Stitch Fix, I was looking for a drop here, a lower low, right going into 1 o'clock. I ended up taking a 4-cent loss. Happy I got out where I did. Shorted this right from 19.21 out at 25. Just a really conservative stop. And thankfully, it's just like I say, if it's not going to make that move in your direction shortly after a big level breaking, then odds are it's going to go the other way. I didn't reverse and go long, mind you, but here right now it looks like this is trying to make one more leg up. It's trading good volume per minute. Even right now it looks like it was trading a lot more from earlier in the morning, but for right now I don't mind giving this a look. It's just lacking direction for right now, like just over the last 10 or so minutes. Generally from like the early afternoon it's building up pretty nicely, so we're hoping for one more pop, but really from like 2:30, 2:25 Eastern onward, just been kind of building almost like a pennant even here. I'll put this kind of on the bottom of our list. All right, what happened here? Just check out Court, some of the others. I skipped over ARC DUS, didn't I? I don't think I meant to. Court here looks like it ended up making a nice run up just before, but it leads you to think at what point does that begin to pull back or begin to top off. So that might be on its way back down. The RDUS trade, it's actually pretty darn close to the lows of the day, and it's shortable. So that I like. Is this at all-time lows? Might be. This might be at all-time lows. Just really quick. Don't mind just taking a little extra time just to find out. Yep, that's all-time low territory, folks. This chart goes back 20 years, and this is the furthest it can go back. So 746 is technically the all-time low back from when it first was an IPO. So technically hasn't broken that low yet, but it's getting close. It's getting pretty close. It's interesting, at least. So even if this doesn't make a move for us heading into the final hour of the day, it's interesting enough for me to just keep an eye on. Shortable at the lows of the day today. It's getting close to all-time lows here. So just we'll study it. We'll see how it goes. I mean, market's moving back up near the highs again, so I wouldn't expect for there to be a whole lot on the loser side right now. Even when the markets were, kind of beginning to bounce, there were a lot of stocks at the highs. AAL, CCL, Space, all of those sideless stocks actually had a pretty strong morning here today thus far. Looks like AAL pulled back, practically going into the early afternoon. CCL was holding flat under 20, but started to drop back down. I would assume the same to be said here. Space was the strongest, ended up making a nice run up throughout most of the day. Patrick says PPSI at 11, and that was probably from a minute or two ago. Yeah, nice run back up on this. So you know what? We gave it a second look or a third look. Yeah, we add this to our list. It's proven itself, and if it completely dumps off from here, then that would be pretty disappointing. But obviously, since we last left off on the trade, ended up moving up pretty nicely, and this might be the beginning of a higher low in building. So we'll see where this goes from this point. Mike says CCL is a gap fill on the daily chart. Oh, that's interesting. Bill says Roku did a deal. Oh, again, that's pretty interesting. You know what? If I had Benzinga up in time, and I will check right now, and I legitimately can't find it. Oh, there it is. All right, cool. Let's take a look. Let's check out for anyone that is ignorant to the news like myself on Roku, just for fun. We'll take a look on Benzinga Pro, or at least I'll kind of relay it to you folks here. So Roku shares spiked $15. Obviously, this was from pre-market, 9 o'clock in the morning. Google have entered or the company Roku and Google together entered into a multi-year deal extension. All right, so it's an extension for YouTube. That's it. All right. Interesting to know. Obviously, we're not going to trade Roku, heading into the close, but all right, what else you got for me, folks? If there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5%, just type it in the chat board or anything that you see that looks pretty strong, that looks pretty good heading into the afternoon. As you look to do that, I will quickly, and there's not a whole lot going on Bitcoin, so I really mean that quickly, just kind of throw up the Bitcoin chart. And really, I mean that. We last left off right here is beginning to try and pop from my white trend lines that I last had up here. Broke the original one, and then I showed you these ones after, just a longer trend line back from even 2020, back from the beginning of the pandemic. So it dropped back down there, and from that point, it's starting to build back up. That's all I got for you here. So over time, the hope is to see this begin to explode back up. I don't think that will be today, tomorrow, Friday. If it is, God bless. But otherwise, here the hope here is to see higher lows leading to a higher high. I'm sure that we're going to have a little fight here at the 500 EMA on my 6-hour graph, alongside just this level here that was holding pretty nicely. Whatever this is that like 53.7, just about 53,700 roughly. I'm sure we'll have a little fight there. But then over time, the hope is to see it begin to test this trend line, begin to snap back above it and run. All right. All right. From Brian and Norman already saying a stock on our watch list beginning to move up higher. Fun. Yeah, there we go. So no need to go any longer, folks. We have a good list going into the afternoon. In total, 2, 4, 6, 7. And you know what? Just for the hell of it, I feel like having fun. We'll kick Stitch Fix off. We'll get that out of there. So just keep it at 7 for right now. All right, folks. So aside from that, for all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. I'm going to try and type my email address here on time, but if you have any questions, feel more than free to send it on over to josh@ctutrading.com. Otherwise, if you're ready to make the plunge, join us live here inside our live trading room. Feel more than free to do so by going right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started. For all of us there right now, Norman, Christopher, or Chris, otherwise Michael, Patrick, all of us here, I'll talk to you folks coming up at 3:30. I'll be back on right at 3:30 Eastern time going into the close. Take care.